One. Hello everybody, Gamer here. Today I actually have my roommates, Lord Chungass, as I like to call him, and Morco3131, who's howling like a moron. Okay, anyways.
I'm not howling like a moron. The Lord Chungass is.
Anyways, we got a lot to talk about today.
I feel insulted.
We got a lot to talk about today. Today's more of a discussion video. We got...
He can discuss this by himself.
Yes, because I have nobody to bounce off
Council.
of. The Royal Council of Dumbasses.
Yes.
Okay, so I got a list. I got a list of things that we can talk about today. So obviously Warmonger is getting nerfed, and there's a bunch of different ways.
Neusha along with her.
We'll get to that. And on the list of things today, starting off, we got how would you nerf Warmonger? Because we all know there's some issues with her, and we can all agree on that, but everybody seems to disagree on what the issue is. So, Sir Monkey Chungus, starting off with you, what do you think would be a good nerf for Warmonger that would balance her out?
Honestly, I would want to make it so within the fact that, like, try and tone down some of the things that she can use her corruption on. And or change it from her having a tier 1 corruption.
Okay, so, like, toning it down from what it affects, like, what would you take away from affecting?
Well, obviously not minion lane, because minion lane's, like, where she thrives. But stuff like
she also
where she can affect like guardians and whatnot, that makes it so in a breach match she is terribly easy to be able to be able to actually be like not just the main pick.
Victory!
Alright, so is there anything else that you would, and you said like tone down the effectiveness, right?
That and also or like change up her like being able to get corruption off of tier 1, because in a match like let's say Breach, if she gets that tier 1, she can literally control the whole minion.
Then again, if it's in Breach, anybody with Inspire could do the exact same thing, because you don't want to run into a bunch of Inspired pikemen. Because they suddenly start dealing like 12, 13 damage a prick instead of just 10.
I probably could throw in my ideals real quick.
After Chungass here. So, was there anything else that you would put in addition for that?
Well...
Mind you that we are console players. We are speaking as console players. We know PC has it easy, but we are console players. So we're speaking for the console community here.
What?
Well, honestly, I'm gonna say the only things that really need to...
And her corruption does do her corruption does do 2 more points of damage than Neusha's infection, which is a tier 4.
Yeah, which I mean, it's okay that they're, because it seems that they're working through numbers, so it makes sense that they're gonna try and like be able to be able to work on numbers. Get back here, you.
Alright, so just mostly changing everything that it affects and making it so that it doesn't apply to specific things. And possibly making it a tier 2 instead of a tier 1. That about cover the gist of what you were going after?
Yep.
Alright, so Morco, what do you think would be a balance-worthy nerf of Warmonger?
Okay, so we have the counter of bleed, which there's no bleed that the Warden has, I would say certain characters having ability to counter poison somehow.
We also have Rocksteady, which counters being able to be knocked down and counters a lot of punishes that people can get, except for you.
Yeah. So.
Round 4.
I think she's okay. I would say I do appreciate the fact that the one where she can basically poison multiple people is the 4th feat. But
yeah.
I have to say I'm a little shocked that they put these feats as the first feats you can get just straight off. I would say the entire poison effect should have been like the 3rd tier, like when you level up and all that. They should have been up there instead. So I would say there was a bit of a weird way of launching this character that I questioned a bit. She is counterable as well. I'm sorry, I'm just going off of arguments that have been out there lately of how she ruins like 4v4 Dominion, but she is counterable because I've been playing for a while and people have been coming up with like actually good strats to back off immediately.
Yeah, and even I made a video on that. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I haven't seen it yet, sorry. But backing off immediately and having a teammate come in and attacking them, because of I've noticed this as well. A Warmonger, usually a player that plays Warmonger gets like kill crazy, and that's where like most of the complaints come in. Yeah, because they keep focusing on the one person. But if the one person that's poisoned that she's focusing on is constantly going after that one, it's very easy just to kill her because the player's going to ignore all the other players that are attacking her and trying to get the one that poisoned. Because out of all of her perks, that she only benefits from the one player that's poisoned. Now,
yeah.
How I would nerf her, I would probably lower the time of how long poison is out.
It's out there for 20 seconds, or about 10 to 20 seconds if I remember right.
Lower the damage for the amount of people that are in the circle.
So it doesn't deal like continuous damage to the people around the circle, but to the person that's infected, it deals more damage.
Yeah. Also, like, as the timer, it's an interesting concept that I thought about, because if you, the longer it's been on you, the lesser damage it does when players are around, as well, would be a good idea to nerf. So that way, like, you can still come in and help your teammate that's poisoned and being one-on-one without killing them right away.
That's kind of like the reverse of old Neusha infection, because old Neusha infection, you would target one person, it would start off at like 5 damage and then tick up to 13 damage, and nobody would have to be around for it to go off. And then they changed it so it does 10 damage, but only so long as there's other people around to proc it.
Round 5.
Yeah. Also change the amount of damage minions can do as well when they're in the poison circle. Well, like, when you're in the minion lane, your health will fucking drop like a fucking ton of bricks. Because, if I remember right, they're doing the same amount of damage as a player would be in the circle as well. And when there's a whole bunch of them, it's just gonna frickin' take a chunk, take a chunk, take a chunk. And
well,
at that point,
that's only if it's pikemen. If it's just regular minions, then they don't deal as much damage. Then you might. I don't even think regular Dominion minions register on the damage chart.
Victory!
Unless somebody's like running through with Inspire.
True.
Well, no, regular minions count. It's just the fact that their damage that they do is so minuscule, it doesn't really do much.
It also doesn't register on the damage tracker. Like, if I hit you with a top light, it'll register like 12 damage, but if a minion hits you, then his damage isn't even going to register at all.
Yeah, but I'm meaning for the poison. When you poison someone and they're stuck in the minion lane. And it's a good strat for a Warmonger to poison someone in minion lane so they clear it. Yes, but it also can limit the defense on the minion lane for the person that's poisoned. Victory! Just get fucking screwed over real fast.
I mean, there are...
That's just kind of a small... It's just a small little thing. I mean, I'm okay with it officially, but at the same time, like this, I can see where some people might be ticked off because they're like, "Oh shit, I backed up in the like, and such."
This makes a total of 4 feats that directly affect minions, because we have Inspire, which makes enemy minions.
Switch over to Dominion, by the way.
I say we could probably get one more in while we're still, like hard focused on the topic and not getting reamed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there are 4 feats that directly affect minions. There's Inspire, which automatically makes enemy minions flee, and your minions attack faster and deal more damage. Neusha's Infection, Warmonger's Corrupted Blade, and Corruption Blast, which all work the same way. All 4 of those feats directly affect minions.
The reason being that, like, it's kind of easy to counter her corruption. One, if you're corrupted, you don't want to back up into your own minions. So what I've been doing is I'll back up into my enemy's minions. So if they want to be able to follow me, and if I'm playing Warmonger, then I get a chance to be able to corrupt them with their minions around me rather than backing up in my own.
Right.
Even if it takes into the fact that I have to self-sacrifice.
Because at least that way they're not. At least that way they're not insta clearing B or C on that one map.
Yeah, we don't talk about
that. See, for me, I've actually voiced how I feel about a nerf would apply for Warmonger in a Discord server, and apparently it didn't sit too well. Now, this is what I said should be changed. Corruption Blade. Increase the recharge time from 45 seconds to 80 seconds, so it can't come out as often. Which...
Good idea.
And
I wouldn't put it at 80, I would probably put it at 60 or 70.
And bring the damage down so it's in line with Neusha's Infection, so it deals 10 damage instead of 12.
Round 1.
Well,
Then,
if you notice the fact that they're already having some damage changes, like, it's coming in a patch in like a week.
Yeah. And then for her tier 2 feat, which is the one that heals, I said to reduce the healing that comes off of the feat slightly. For the tier 3, I suggested to bring the bonus damage down. So that way you're not suddenly throwing out a top-heavy finisher that deals 45 damage. And for Corruption Blast, which is her tier 4, I suggested to make it so that the damage is the same as Corruption Blade. And make it so that you heal accordingly off of her tier 2, instead of just filling up an entire HP bar from 1 HP to only missing 1 HP somehow. In case the enemy doesn't split up immediately, because I don't know if you guys saw the video, but in Breach, if you afflict the whole team and an officer commander or something that can be afflicted with it that you can benefit off of, you go from 1 HP to full HP in 1 tick.
I see, that's why I was saying maybe make it so they change who it targets, because that makes it so in Breach, essentially, if you just pop it and hit the commander, then literally you force the team
to get away from the commander.
Yep. Oh, too late. Of course.
So,
those were my proposed nerfs for Warmonger's feats entirely, and that did not sit well, because her kit in and of itself is balanced. She's got a quick bash, she's got a chargeable bash that gives 2 different punishes, she's got a quick access unblockable, she's got a roll catcher like she has a perfectly balanced like actual attack kit. It's just her feats are fucking busted.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I proposed those changes,
makes
and they did not
sense.
sit well. And I thought I was being pretty reasonable with the changes.
well, of course, most people, and I don't mind if I literally offend somebody, but most people
Oh, fuck.
typically want to just sit around their teammate and have like two people or something sit on one point, which is unnecessary in the first place. But then that's easy corruption for her because you have two people in the same area.
That she's probably gonna force to split up or die very
Victory.
quickly.
That's why I like the idea of her, because of the fact that she forces you to have to literally depend on yourself. You can't
Round
rely
3.
on your teammates to bail you out. You actually have to put in the effort to actually
I
stay
think
alive.
like the
which I
only
mean,
teammate that can help it. Actually, if you think about it, it does make a certain character useful for once.
Oh, who's that?
The Shinobi, because he and she has the range to fight back up
Outside
one
of the
player.
outside of the corruption
Yeah,
range.
outside the because so I don't think anyone really. I didn't realize that until like just now. I'm like, actually, there is a way to counter the Warmonger. Bring in the Shinobi while someone's distracting her and getting poisoned. The Shinobi can come in and just start launching their long strikes. So not only does the Warmonger have to worry about the person that they thought that they singled out into a 1-on-1, now they're still forced into a 2v2 situation.
Yeah, I can
This
see
would
that.
have been Shinobi would have been best brought out after Warmonger.
But
As
the
the counter to Warmonger,
kinda sorta, yeah.
I would say. Because
Victory.
in Peacekeeper, and like all the characters, most of the characters have a range attack that can help the one player that's stuck in the 1v1.
That's usually behind a feat, though. It's like Valkyrie with her spear
Yeah.
throw, Peacekeeper with the crossbow, and like several of the samurai with a longbow, and then there's Highlander, who has a longbow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that also depends on them being able to use a feat to hopefully get some damage in on the Warmonger, because if the Warmonger suspects somebody's just gonna throw a feat, then they just dodge. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been getting into the habit of dodging worm projectile feats.
well, I mean, also another thing is she stops people from from trying to take people's kills. Because, I mean, if you run into teammates who get power hungry, then they're literally gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Like, I've ran into so many times that you don't make
Someone
people
gets
fall, by
like
the way.
murder happy.
Oh, I
So
thought
close.
Mason dodge would help. Damn.
I mean, yeah,
But no, that's just like...
the thing is, it'll still register it as an outnumbered
Round
fight,
5.
so in retrospect,
Well, yeah, I know.
she
What
won't
I'm
earn
talking
as
about
much
is,
renown.
Okay, for say, you're fighting him, and then I come up and try and interfere, then she works good to make it so then people don't just throw attacks at random, because this makes it so she can just keep getting revenge, and she'll be able to use her feats to her advantage.
Which I turned off, by
But-
the way, so.
You fucking cunt.
Eatus! I start screaming.
Yeah, I do love the flow of Warmonger. So I hope they don't nerf her too much into the ground. I feel like it's gonna be her feats that are gonna be nerfed to the ground more than anything else.
Yes, her feats are actually getting nerfed.
Yeah, because
Stop that
like
shit.
overall, her fighting style is very interesting, and I would hate
Just
for them to
before that.
nerf it. And if they
Speak-
like
tried.
literally nerf the fact that you can just get the free hit, let me remind you of the big fucking yeet my fucking fat ass body onto your face guy.
Shigoki with his tier 4.
Yeah. So like, there's no valid argument of, oh, she's a little too OP with her attack moves. No, there's a lot of other stuff that can be considered OP. Just straight
Well,
off the bat that like
For most
has been
of
nerfed
it,
but still used for cheekiness.
Yeah, I don't even think Shigoki's tier 4 has ever been nerfed. But
Yeah.
Moving on to our next point is the individual changes coming up next week, which me and Chungas are familiar with, but you are not, Morco.
I am not, because I do not keep ahead in events. I
they're
keep playing on PC.
finally-
So,
What's confirmed, from what I heard,
Warmonger's feats are getting nerfed.
well, that, plus also, they're actually confirmably changing the stamina drain of light attacks.
They're changing it
It'll
down
go
from 12 to 9.
12. Yep. So they're finally making light attacks a bit more, like,
I find it a
so
bit
stamina cost heavy.
I find it a bit contradictive because they raise the stamina cost for light attacks to, prevent light spam, which is more of a console problem than it is a PC problem, because you go on PC and you light parry like nobody's business. In the 3 games I played on PC, I was light parrying like nobody's business. So that's
See,
more...
I'm not that good on that one, but no. But in general, just it makes it so then somebody like per se Orochi or someone like
say even Shaman.
speaking of Shaolin and what you call it. Who else
Gonna
is
go
it?
on my heroes here and start adding some stuff.
It also
okay.
it's also affecting what you call it, people who get automatic light.
Yeah, because actually, well, no,
Shaolin with his,
the automatic light stamina cost was dropped to 6 if it's like a guaranteed follow up. This is just in the case
I know.
of if you have like a light that isn't guaranteed that you can follow up with.
But
Although one thing
that's the only thing I've heard of that's completely confirmed.
Oh, there's more, actually. Somehow, while they're nerfing Warmonger, they're actually going to be nerfing Neusha's infection as well.
Well, yeah, I heard about that one.
And apparently they're changing time to kill, which is, say me and you get into a fight and you're going crazy with the parry punishes, they're gonna make it so it takes longer for you to actually kill me, despite your defense being on point, or say I screw up and get a little overzealous. They're making it so it's not as punishing to, screw up in a fight.
You were speaking about Inspire, and look what Warden has.
Yep. And let's see here. They're upping the damage value of, from what they said, several zone attacks. They didn't specify, but the zone attack damage for several characters is going up.
Yeah.
And
And
that'll probably be
also
the few that
supposed to
have very
be-
shitty zone attacks.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing is they're going to be changing some damage values for heavy attacks.
Yeah, they actually are going to be they're going to be nerfing
that
some
one-
heavy damage values, which again...
Yeah, that one I didn't hear was confirmed, but I'm assuming that they're playing around with what they can do for damage.
From what I heard, which I watched a different YouTuber's video to hear this, is they're trying to put it more in line with the Testing Ground Part 2 damage values, which it was butchered damage. Like, you were lucky if you got over 30 damage for a heavy.
Yeah, but that one, like, most of the community liked because of the fact that it made, like, actually
Fights longer.
being good at fights, like, more rewarding.
Yeah. And the last
Also, the
change,
action lasts a little longer.
and the last change that I felt was noteworthy was they're increasing deflect damage again, as opposed to the
I know
that
that one I'm loving.
yeah, that one I can appreciate because you have Neusha, who boasted the highest damage deflect for a light attack at 40 damage. And yeah, it was blockable, but still. Shit. Oh, fuck. Now, anyways, on to the next topic before it gets derailed from me just, staring intently at a screen. Next topic I was thinking of is what I would like For Honor to see do differently. And this is my personal changes that I would love to incorporate into For Honor. And I'm feeling like I'm... You good?
Sorry. I'm just having a fucking spasm over here because I'm like, there's so much I would like to throw in this game.
Oh, Jesus.
Whoever's on B, you have a Zerker trying to jump on you.
Oh, fuck. See, these are the personal changes that I would like to incorporate into For Honor, which I feel I'm being very fair about these. And so one of the changes that I was thinking of was...
You lost, so...
You know, like the story feats that we have that you never actually see come into the game? So it's like you have bolstering parries or something like that, or just something that happens off of like a specified interaction. Yeah, I was thinking, like, what if we bring those in as a feat or something?
Shit.
On one hand, it's good. On the other,
Is like
for those characters that that was like kind of their thing.
well,
Kind of takes away their uniqueness.
well, the thing was though, it's like you've got a something that like gives you damage reduction on a parry, which is bolstering parries. That's on Lawbringer, Gladiator, Hitokiri, It was originally Lawbringer's thing because he was the first character to have it. But then suddenly, Gladiator and Hitokiri come around and, suddenly it's not just Lawbringer's thing anymore. That was just one change I had in mind.
You captured Zone A.
For me, I would like to make breach matches a little bit more interesting. Because in the campaign, you see these amazing siege equipment. Really, you do.
Yeah.
Or like rework with the minions, like do some other stuff that could make them a little bit more interesting. And like difficult for like the B lane and C lane and block, yada
like,
yada.
Make
because
it
like I can't.
Go ahead, keep going.
I can't just being a medieval fanatic myself. Oh fuck, I'm being double teamed. Okay. Since I died now.
You lost Zone A.
Like,
Oh shit.
I would probably add like other equipment other than like the ballistas and such. You see like the giant fucking catapults on this map. Like,
Zone C.
I would like to see these like in action on like a breach match or something like that, where like the players have to get these siege towers to get there, so that the minions have to climb in and start helping you take points inside the castle.
I can see that.
And such instead of just let's just guide this battering ram through every single breach match.
And
Like this, there's so much cool equipment that this world has to offer that they made, and I feel like the writers would have like a fucking like
a heyday
splendid time. Also, and especially with the fucking mission when you're the one campaign story mission when you're playing as the warden, and or Holy Cross. I don't know which one, but it was like with the bridges that were deployable to go across.
Yeah.
To the fort.
That was
That. That would have been. That would be a fun mechanic to throw in.
I can see that, but how I think that would be incorporated in Breach, assuming it would, is like I could see it like, you know, you could send minions to like go hang out around the healing point and guard it, so that way it's not so easy for them to, not so easy for the other team to just sit by it in case like that's a big fighting area. Or like say if you wanted like your minions to go like put damage on the Guardian ahead of time in case you were planning on attacking him, you know, that could be another thing.
Yeah. Or make the minion matches a little bit more spicy with like siege equipment itself. So like it like gives more of like here's some maps that like you can't just go straight for the enemy. You got to figure out how to get to them.
Almost like
to that other point.
Almost like a Dominion obstacle course kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Stay here.
One thing that I was thinking of was, it's like we have like daily orders which refresh every day at midnight EST for us, right? But we only get like 6 or 7 non-daily orders which refresh every, you know, 2 days at 1 in the morning EST.
You lost Zone A.
I would honestly love to see more orders, because we honestly need them, because for the shitty amount of steel that we get and how easily it is just for anyone dedicated enough to breeze through them, unless it's a tribute order, because we all know nobody plays that.
Yay, says the tribute player.
Like, I would honestly like to see steel values go up too, because, yeah, it's like the daily orders give you like 500 and 300 steel, but...
Oh, I'm sorry.
But what about...
I would like to see, like... Shut up.
But
I'd also like to see them to make the other modes also more interesting than they currently are.
Yeah.
As well. Because, like, I feel bad, like, they made all these modes for all these players, but yet there's a lack of it in those modes, especially on console.
Yeah, it's like...
I don't know about PC if, like, duels are more common there, but...
Oh, they are. Because, like, most PC players I see, it's just all just duels. It's like, you need to actually go looking for somebody that plays, like, Dominion.
Your team is breaking.
Oh, I'm dead.
You lost Zone A.
But, yeah, there's so much they can do.
Yeah.
That would be beautiful just to redo the game in some ways. Like, not fully redo it, but
yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Repaint it, let's say. Like, give it a new, fresh coat of paint. Because, like, I do love all these new characters. I also love some of the new maps that they throw down. But it all feels the same. That's why I kind of been, like, less playing. It just feels the same. Like, okay, just kill the guy. Okay, just kill the guy.
Yeah, it's always...
and kill the guy.
It's always just kind of boiled down to, okay, kill the guy, but it's always in, like, a different setting, because, like... I know Harbor's, like, taken off in popularity ever since Black Prior showed up.
Yeah. That's his map.
Yeah, that's his map, but he was also, like, a last-year hero. Like, before that, it was always, like, the Shard or Sentinel or something. Now, like, ever since Black Prior showed up, it's always Harbor. Like,
Harbor is Harbor.
Harbor's like that picture is that perfect map where you can do your ledges. Some ledges don't kill you. You can zip line wherever you need to get to, while also trying to defend all these points. And the points are so close together that it's like a super micromanaging thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I like Harbor, personally. Because
Like-
it does have creative ways of taking on your opponent.
Like, I like the way that they did it. I just wish that, you know, it wouldn't be so frequent, because, like, it seems like you can't go 3 matches. Jesus. Without seeing Harbor in the map vote screen. It's either that or High Fort.
Yeah. So, I would say adding a few new maps would be nice.
One thing that I thought
Because
was
there's
interesting is, like, you
ahead.
see that Warrior Challenge, right? Like, you know, like that big event order that takes, like, you know, 200, 300 plus hours?
Yeah.
What I was thinking was, for a change for that, was if your faction is the one to win it, then the factions would vote in-game, just like a quick little vote, say like how Knights have the battlefronts of Breach and Battle. If they win that, they would vote for which front they would like more, and then upon completion of the Warrior Challenge, they get an hour to vote, and once the voting timer is up, they are granted those territories automatically. So that way there's
a big game changer.
So that way there's some sway to the faction war other than ho hum, Vikings won again. Like, shut up. Shut up, Centurion, nobody asked you. This is why you're not invited to dinner anymore.
Okay.
But I feel like that would be a very welcome change. Like, you would start seeing, like, numbers rise. But one thing that I feel like should be incorporated is, for these event orders, you'll see, like, somebody because, like, for this one is, at the end of the challenge, be the faction with the most matches completed of any type. So what do people do? They go to duels, they queue up player versus AI with all their buddies on their friends list that play For Honor, and that's how you see people with, like, 1,000 games of this one, or 1,000 games of that one. It's just, like, they're just going to...
Also, the one thing that I'd like to see changed is just the overall increase to the amount of XP
to do this
outside of Force. Because, not gonna lie, literally,
Give
if
me
you
the
don't
wolf.
play Dominion or Breach, then you're shooting yourself in the foot for XP.
Yeah.
I'd
Like,
say make the
duels and
other
brawls
game
are
modes a little
better
bit more
for-
rewarding with XP.
Yeah, because duels and
Because
brawls
it's lesser
are more
people.
of just
Maybe like a...
launching off your big high rep character.
Maybe like a streak bonus, so it's like the more matches you win, the more XP you're rewarded with for...
Or cough, make it a gambling system with steel.
I wouldn't say a gambling system. Like, I think that if you give them
Both
like
players put like 100 steel. Winner takes 200.
Or it's like, that actually could be interesting. But what I was thinking was, like, say you win, like, 3 matches in a row. You're gonna get the same XP for 3 matches in a row. But say you win 2 matches, and then that third match comes in, you win that, you get a little bit more XP progressively for each match you win thereafter. So that way, you know, you're earning more for doing better. You know, it suddenly starts feeling rewarding to play just duels all the time, or brawls, or even more rewarding to play Dominion or Breach.
Yeah.
One big thing that's probably going to piss off a lot of people that love those event orders is, I feel like that big event should be player versus player only. Because as a community, if you're suddenly going up against the bots, then that takes the community out of the community event. You're not interacting with other people. You're not going out there and showing, hey, I want to actually make an effort to try and win this. You're just like, nah, I don't really feel like participating. I just kind of want to get a bunch of wins and be over with.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel about the double XP weekend.
That's kind of what they did with the... It was like called the Carousel of Death.
Yeah, those events really take off.
Yeah. But the only thing is, much like Fours, you run in, like, eventually you'll run into that team that just play, I wouldn't say the most optimally, they just play the most well-guarded and well-protected way that they can. Like, if they have a weak member of the team, the weak member typically runs in, aggroes the fight, and then hides behind his teammates in order to be able to get a win.
Yeah, it's like, I can understand that for, like, new players, but if you're, like, somebody who's, like, me or Chungus's rep, like, that's not really a reason. Like, you should be in there, like, helping your team. Like, I can't really say much, because I play Stamina Buddy JJ, and I like to sit back in Sifu stance and just feed infinite stamina.
Well, there's a difference if you're helping out your team
You lost
versus
Zone A.
literally cowering behind your team.
You captured Zone C.
Damn, I almost got him.
Pull the lever, pull the lever.
The lever. There you go.
Ah, shit. One thing that I would like to see is introducing a single pick option for game modes. So, like, if somebody wants to play Dominion, but they don't want to run into a meme squad, which is, you know, like, 4 Warmongers, 4 Shigokis, 4 Warlords or Highlanders or something like that, just incorporate, like, a single pick option, so that way you don't have to worry about that, because, you know, one good hero is devastating, but suddenly you run into 2 people that are really good with that hero and just have amazing synchronicity with each other, then you're SOL.
Yeah, but at the same time, there can be also times where, like, especially with new players, they would probably like to feel comfortable with the characters that they've been putting practice into.
Yeah.
And that would just also force them into the new ones.
Zone A.
And yeah, it's a good idea, but a lot of people sometimes don't like that. Me personally, actually, I'm not a big fan of that. Because, like, hey, I do like playing these characters and such. I know we're being a kind of a meme squad, you and me, with the fact that we're both playing Warmonger right now. But you could tell, definitely tell, like, the difference between our skill levels as we were playing. Yeah, there will be times where you get people be equally skilled.
Sure,
And all that.
That's how physics work. Sorry to cut you off. There was a warden that literally
just did the electric slide.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
That's how physics work.
but anyways, keep going.
As I was saying, it's easier to play along with other players that already know how to play the character while you're playing the character, and then you can receive some tips.
Yeah, but if you kind of
play it, like, you could see how.
If you're kind of a jack of all trades like me, then you don't necessarily need to be the character to give tips on the character. Whereas, like, if you suddenly wanted to pick up Nabushi or Neusha, I could tell you what to do with them because I feel comfortable enough to share my experience about the character. Whereas for if you wanted to pick up Warlord, I can't really help you there, but I don't really need to help you there because Warlord is kind of one of those characters you can just pick up and use. You don't really need any, like, hardcore effort to use Warlord. Because, like, their kit is small, it's simple, it's the ideal heavy, it's not overly complicated, it's not hard to use, it's got good tools, and it's overall a simple character.
Oh, I'm about to be double teamed here by Neusha and a Glad.
But say if you know, like, pick up...
Oh, I'm being triple teamed.
If you pick up Neusha, you're gonna have a really hard fucking time, because you don't just pick up and use Neusha. She's one of those characters you really have to think about using. And I wish we had more of those characters that were like that. It's just there's no just picking up and using them. like, what I'm saying is, like, we need more, like, Neusha-style characters, where it's like, in order to play them, and you need to think. In order to play them correctly, you need to think even harder. Just, like, I see all these, like, hard-labeled characters, and I'm just like, okay, but where's the difficulty? I could pick up and use this guy anytime I wanted. But I know that's not the same to say for any character, but... or any person, but still, it... like, for majority of people that I've run into, you could... it's like, they could have, like, an easier time playing this character or that character.
I used to play a roach, and I actually got him down pretty fast.
Yeah, you got him down pretty fast, but you're a fast learner, that's the thing. Like, you pick up on things pretty quickly. Whereas opposed to, say, like, an experienced person like myself, I want a new character to come... I just stepped through a bear trap. I want a new character to show up.
By the way, this is a bear trap.
That's not just easy to pick up and use. I want more Neusha difficulty characters, where if I want to use them correctly, I need to think. I need to actually take the time and process what I'm doing.
Enemy team is breaking.
Doesn't like me much.
Because Neusha is a bit of a chessboard for a character. You can't just... like I said, you don't just pick up and use Neusha.
Well, that's why I also like that they're trying to introduce a new guessing kind of mechanic to the fights now.
Oh, like the whole
because that
read-based mechanic?
Yeah, because that actually kind of helps with that, if you think about it. Because now, like, the hard characters should be harder. It actually should be harder for all characters now. Because now you gotta think like your enemy while also thinking for yourself. And that's actually how a sword fight should be.
Well,
this is
that's
coming from a guy that actually has experience from sword fights.
That's also stepping into, like, your typical fighter, like, you know, Soul Calibur or something. That's also stepping into your stereotypical fighter territory.
Yes, but isn't, like,
Lost zone C.
I'm not gonna be surprised with the amount of hate I'm about to get for what I'm about to say here.
Oh,
isn't technically For Honor a team fighter game?
Yes and no. I see it more as like those, you know, those games you see like some YouTubers playing where it's like they're a champion and they're running along through an army and they're just like cutting through the army, and any other champions they encounter just like this big overcoming factor. Yeah, I see For Honor as that, just with a more, you know, like nitty-gritty system. So it's like you have a specific direction to guard and you don't just have to, you know, input a specific command to say, okay, I blocked.
I need help on C, by the way. Oh, okay. I thought I thought
Whereas,
we're running the same mechanics.
Whereas for, like, if you do For Honor, you have to choose whether it's left, right, or top to guard, and that's usually the mirror for the other person you're fighting. I see For Honor as kind of one of those. Like, For Honor is unique in what it did, but it's not unique in the style of game.
Okay. So I know what you're talking about, and I would feel like this. That would probably make trying to make a new Dominion, like reworking Dominion,
yeah,
more interesting, because if you can make them like those games, holy hell, will the maps be 100 times bigger, and there will be a little less of.
Well, I see For Honor like that already, because I see For Honor like that already, because if you look at For Honor and those other games like that, you're gonna see a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Because, like, what's one? Samurai Warriors or something. It's like, you're this big, powerful, proven samurai, this proven warrior, running through a battlefield at a undetermined or seemingly random location, and you're fighting against another army and their other battle-proven warriors and champions, and For Honor is just kind of like a more small battle, but still filled with proven warriors kind of thing. Like, that's how I see it.
Yeah. If I could throw this suggestion in, I would like to say this, because they said there was going to be many factions. I do appreciate, like, the 3 giant faction matches and all that, right? But we're like, what I got from the campaign more, like, I came into this game knowing about the 3 factions, yada yada. But if I was like a new player and I did not know jack dilly fucking squat and I just played the campaign, I would be like, oh, is the multiplayer like where they kind of like promote clans and all that, and each clan kind of gets like faces other clans on servers or something like that, they gain territory, yada yada. If they could do something like that, make your own war banner, make your own war group, make the emblems a little bit more unique to the sense of like, hey, the shield is fit to that faction, and or slash clan, and like, yeah, they do have the same coloring and paints, but like kind of make their own nations in a nutshell. That would be a very interesting concept to throw in.
I feel like
that's just me being also a world strategist type deal.
I was gonna say, I feel like that
other projects.
I feel like at that point it turns a little more into too real of a wartime strategy, where suddenly it turns into like COD, where it's like you got a bunch of people running around with like Raft or something in there as a clan tag or something.
Yeah. There's also like.
Chungus, you've been pretty quiet.
concrete.
You don't have too much to add to this, or are you just kind of letting us get our 2 cents in?
Well, yeah, I was letting y'all get your 2 cents in, because I didn't want to just keep cutting people off.
I'd say you've been pretty
That's
quiet.
kinda what
I'm
was
pretty
happening.
sure you got some ideas.
Well, I like Morkel's idea
Morkel.
of of making it a bit more
Interactive.
Use my real name. There's thousands of us. How do I know this? I met like 15 of me in like one convention.
And you all have the same
But
damn
no.
face.
like
Yeah.
making it so that it's more of a like mid-wartime actual strategy game. Because yeah, For Honor is its own unique game now. There's not another game like it, which means the fact that they can take their idea and have spin-offs of the game and still be good with the game. Like, they could make a actual like military strategy version, or do something
Like
with
how
that
Halo
where it's
did it.
more like it makes it so then it's less of repetitive match after match and more interesting and more stuff to do. 'Cause I won't lie, there's literally been times where I'm like playing, and aside from the times where I get annoyed because my teammates do some very nice way to
You
say it,
lost Zone
interesting things.
You
But
captured
there's
Zone
times
C.
where I just absolutely get bored in the game, so I'm just like,
Oh Jesus, the fucking lag here. Yeah, it's the rotate's lagging really hard.
Captured Zone A.
So you'd like a more interactive style of game as opposed to what For Honor's been sticking to. Is that more or less what I'm hearing?
yep.
Yeah, I could see that taking root. Just
I had more health than that, thank you very much.
Ubisoft
Lost
at it again.
Zone C.
Anyway.
For Honor is a beautiful game.
0 glitches, 10 out of 10.
No lag at all. You could have Badland lag. Internet, and you could still win. Fuck.
Anyways,
Lost Zone A.
so like interactivity, so like probably like more points to where like you're actually having a decision in like the fights. Is there anything else you were thinking of?
Well, a more interesting mode to the point where it's not just only force people really play anymore.
So like tribute or elimination or skirmish, like the modes where like the player base is absent.
Yeah. Which, I mean, with the idea when they had tribute, it was a good idea
But it didn't
Yes.
last very long.
because it wasn't rewarding enough.
Well, that and suddenly start getting matches like I've been in where that are like they last a minute. I have had minute-long matches, and it kind of takes the life out of it because like the shortest Dominion match you'll get is probably like late 4 minutes, maybe like mid 5 minutes, and like yeah, that's still a reasonable match. That's still a reasonable amount of fighting going on. That's Assuming like you're like absolutely destroying the other team, or they're doing that to you. Like that's still a reasonable battle.
Also, if I can jump
You
right back
capture
in,
Zone A.
I like to go back to Breach here. Or basically a more objective base of Dominion as well, just like Breach. But make the maps quite a little bit larger and like throw like a huge minion scale would be an interesting concept. So not only do you have like this small fight going on just on one lane, it's everywhere. Like the minions are basically everywhere, just fighting it out. Would be interesting because like. I'm sorry to say this once again. I'm one of those medieval fanatics. I am super pissed of just watching these minions fight in one area where they could be fighting all over the place, and not just like a 1v1 going on the side. No, there would be like these guys would be fighting everywhere they could just to try to get past the enemy lines so they can get to the. Just to get to the fucking advantage that they can get.
Yeah.
What? Oh wait, we're defenders.
So it's like kind of like how you see like a minion here or there strewn about the map, but you know that's about it.
Yeah.
Once you kill them, they never come back.
Yeah.
You're like you never see a minion try to advance onto the point. They always just kind of hold right outside it.
Yeah. Don't keep moving on, pushing the front line.
You capture
Where they should
Zone
be
A.
pushing in advance. Like the defenders here, they should be trying to take out that breach where the players are spawning in.
Like seal it up.
Like that should be the yeah.
So in a
if
sense,
you're a defender, you want to patch up wherever the fuck these enemies are coming from.
and not have it again next week.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they might have something for us where they might have like a story to say why the minions are like this or something like that. But at the same time, these heroes aren't fucking everywhere. They're like these people of mass fucking destruction aren't gonna always be there. They're always gonna be like all around on different battlefields.
Yeah. Because like we have like the Harbingers of Doom, which was year 3, and you really can't go a match without seeing them. And then suddenly year 4 comes around, and now you have these like absolutely battle-hardened demolishers, literally warmongers. Like they exist to fight. You're not gonna see that.
Yeah.
You'll see that sometimes in the war, but you won't see that like omnipresent.
Yeah.
You captured Zone C.
So I would like to see a little bit more with the minions. Maybe make them a little taller. Instead of like, I can't believe there's like this many tall people in the fucking world.
Well, I mean, back in the old days, people actually were really short.
Yeah, but at the same time, out of a world of short people, and out of like the player base, just me, and how many times there's like all these large people all fighting on these fronts, I can't believe that these minions, like right here, like all of them are going to be the same height.
And like you also hear like female voices in there sometimes too. Like, where's the female minions?
Yeah, but they're all male models.
All male models, and
I think in one of your older videos where like the audio didn't fucking work at all, I did express my concern about that actually.
Rip audio.
Like, yeah.
Stamina, please.
Where is this?
Thank you.
That was health, but okay.
But
Victory.
I did voice my concern. Like, you hear all these women screaming in the background, like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna kick some ass." Where are they?
Yeah.
It's not the Warmonger. It's not the main heroes.
One thing I would like to see is
if are like, ah.
One thing I would like to see is if you capture the minion lane for long enough. I know that's unlikely with nowadays, but if you capture it long enough, an officer will spawn and run to the point.
Yeah, making it easier to hold the point.
Make it easier to hold the point, and like, you know, suddenly you have like this 5th member of your team for continually holding the minions. You're able to rally your officers. You're able to have them advance or go back and defend a point.
Yeah,
Something
like in Breach.
Mm-hmm.
Put the officers in Dominion, and as well, it would be a nice touch.
I would put like those shield ones that you don't see anymore.
Oh,
at
those
all.
those guys
For
were
the
in
campaign.
those guys also in the campaign. They were in like eliminations. Like they always just like hunker, but they're always so easy to counter. I could imagine like seeing like mini heroes. It's like you have like an Ibushi that's not quite, you know, at the rank yet, or like you have like an Orochi that's again not quite at the rank. You have like these almost miniature specialized officers that you can like put into a game or something. It's just like if you defend a point long enough, say like even with the faction war actually, like say you capture a critical point like a mill or a forge or something. You have the option to, if you're fighting on that battlefront, say like duels, brawls, or something. You have actually no, only in the events of 4v4s, because that in duels and brawls would be busted. You have the option in like your 4v4 game modes to deploy like a specialized officer into your next game or so, and there would be like a limit of like 2 or 3 per team per game, and they would come out at like key points, like, you know, say you recapture the point.
Yeah. There's
Also,
so much they can do with For Honor. I feel like they're just a little scared of branching out a little bit more than they normally do. Because, like, you can tell that, like, what their nerfs and buffs are, they're just a repeat of everything. It's just they do it in a long period of time.
well, also, like, seeing as how For Honor is, like, one of a kind, there's no real direction for them to, you know, take inspiration from other than, you know, dipping back into real history, but they want to keep it a fanatical setting.
Yeah,
They're
I would say this.
basically they're paving their own way, so they don't really have a way that they have an idea of where to go with the game,
But they have
don't-
nothing to go
they're
off
not
of.
confident in it.
Yeah.
Unlike Call of Duty, where
That's been done at least
It's
20 times over.
yeah, there's multiple different versions of a modern warfare style shooter. Which, not to take away from Call of Duty, but either way, they had somewhere where they could have a potential, like, leader per se, to see, okay, this is what works in the field, this doesn't. For Honor, on the other hand, doesn't have any of that.
Yeah, like, the closest to For Honor is Mordhau. And we all saw how quickly that just kind of faded away.
No, it's still got player base. It's not as big as it used to when it started off. And who's on A again?
Me.
You
I'm
captured
coming.
Zone B.
I gave you as much of a shot I could.
You lost Zone B.
On to the last topic that I had in mind is my personal feat changes or new feat ideas, because I'm pretty sure like you see a feat and you're looking at it like that really shouldn't work that way. I feel like there should be something like about it that just functions differently. And the first one that comes to mind is Rocksteady, because you see Rocksteady and it says prevents you from being unbalanced, but that has nothing to do with walls. Like, if you have Rocksteady, why can't I throw you into a wall and you actually stumble into the wall? You're not losing your balance, you just got knocked into something. You can't really focus or, like, guard properly when you're thrown into something. But you've got Shigoki and Aramusha just like, haha, fuck you. And personally, I think that Rocksteady should allow you to be knocked into walls.
Yeah. I'd say the first feat, Warden and some other characters were Conqueror, I think it was, where it makes you take territory faster and such.
Yeah, capture zones.
XP off of it. Yeah, I would say start adding armor all of a sudden, because you were the key defender of that point at that point. Because you're holding that point, you're getting XP, and we know you're gonna stay on that point. And you know the enemy's gonna just try to...
So kind of like the Bastion perk that they have, where as long as you're on a point, you're not taking as much damage. You know, you're defending it. You've conquered this point. They have to try and rip it from your grasp.
Yeah. So it's just harder to take on the person that's on the point instead of just like, yeah, you can gang up on them, but they have enough health to basically withstand you and take your entire team on.
Yeah.
So it's like basically fighting a captain on a point. Not like fully like fighting a captain, but like a miniature boss. And plus, I feel like it would make the player feel a little bit more powerful in a way. Like, oh, this is fucking sweet. I can be a total badass and give him a better moment.
Right.
Oh, you sons of bitches. Put a bear trap on A.
Chungus, do you have any ideal feat changes that you would like to chip in?
Oh, definite. There's
You captured
one that
Zone A.
I absolutely despise because, well, as far as console-wise, for new players,
I feel like I
one
know
that
where this is
annoys
going.
me the most would happen to be Kensei's fourth feat.
Yep.
Knew it.
Bye!
They saw me pop this. Can I just get a deflect? Okay.
You're Warmonger, you can't deflect.
Parry, I mean.
You lost Zone A.
I'm just gonna light heavy with my hyper armor, fast armor.
But no, the reason
bullshit
why I
as
said
Highlander.
on console,
You
I
lost.
mean, it's
I'm
a
a
good
fucking
idea
puppet.
for a feat. Just the only problem is you run into so many people who, as soon as they do that, unless you're good at late parries, then you're gonna struggle with it.
Yeah, and even getting the timing, like, as it's happening is a bit of a struggle.
I fucking connected before your sword did.
You captured Zone A.
You go nowhere. You go nowhere.
I feel like more characters... anyway, yeah, you were saying about Kensei's Tier 4, which, you know, obviously that one gives you a bit of a struggle, as we've all
Lost
known.
Zone A.
I fucking hate this bear trap.
Are there any others that come to mind for you guys?
Not really, honestly. I don't mind Rocksteady because they've kind of figured that one out. There's nothing wrong with Speed Revive because all you gotta do is be able to what you call it, just let them revive and you can just kill that person again. Like, it's not that big of a problem. Then you
You
have
captured Zone B.
That's good to know. Shit. One thing that I would like to see is if you have like a tier 1 or a tier 2 or some if you have like a high level feat, say like how Warden and Neusha have takedown, you know, that feat nobody ever uses because Revenge does the exact same thing. Which just, you're able to throw people to the ground and unbalance them. I feel like a higher level feat should counteract the effect of a lower level feat. So say somebody is running Rocksteady and then, you know, a Warden comes down with Takedown, they activate Takedown and suddenly Rocksteady doesn't work anymore because Warden's feat is considered more powerful. I feel like that would be an ideal change. Any thoughts to counter, add, or do something about that?
Well, I mean, the whole thing of making stuff more powerful than the other is good. The problem is you run into people who are
You
like,
captured
oh yeah,
Zone
my
B.
feet should have been stronger. Why the hell
You son of a
didn't mine
bitch.
work? I have to cleanse this man. Ow! Ow!
I was trying to figure out where he
Let
was.
the Highlander slap me.
Now, one feat that I thought up that actually got some fair reception was
Enemy team is breaking.
that it's a tier 2. I called it Ruptured Veins for some reason, and it was your character does something to the person via magic or throwable or something that triggers all of the bleed that that person has on them as instant damage. I considered it like a tier 2 or something, something quick, something that's just really easy to get a hold of, but it's not exactly too powerful unless someone takes the time to build up the bleed. What do you guys think? Is that for like a new feat?
I mean,
Maybe
feet would be nice.
increase its
But I don't know if
feet
they're-
level or something.
Oh, you made him bleed?
Yes.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, but like right there, say like I run him into a wall,
Victory.
somebody triggers that feat, and the 25 damage he took from bleeding just triggers. Like all at once.
Now see,
Yeah.
I like the damage over time effect, because it makes it that way then it gives you time to be able to counter something to hit you rather than have it hit you all at once. But at the same time, like, I would like to see more feats added into the game just because,
More unique feats.
yeah, because you have people who they have feats, and now with the whole change of all the healing feats, now everybody has to start using.
I gotta run use the bathroom.
Because most of the healing feats that people were using to kind of prolong the match
Are not as
now
powerful
been-
anymore.
Yeah, and something like what I was just using, body count, absolutely worthless. Like, ah yes, here, let me spend 12 stamina for 1 health. Like, the return on that is pointless.
Yeah, like it used to be manageable at like 2 and 2. You'd kill one minion to get 2 HP, 2 stamina back, which made Neusha a clearing machine.
Yeah, and you'd think with them bringing in somebody who is literally someone who can dominate the minion lane, they would have left that alone, so that way then you get the people that want to just, like, destroy the minion lane, and then you have her where she takes that healing and basically completely throws it out the window.
And she doesn't really even get the healing off of all the minions. If that were the case, then, her tier 2 would be a little bit more busted, because Elixir of Corruption suddenly triggers on one person and, say, like 20 or 30 minions, and, because she heals respectively off of the damage done to corrupted foes. And she even heals off of other people corrupted around them, too. So, suddenly this one guy who's taking a little bit of damage around all those minions. Another thing.
Now, see, one thing I'd like that might be a very interesting change is, instead of applying the corruption to somebody, why not make it so it's like a corrupting aura?
Oh, so like she
So it's
applies
like a
it.
bubble around her.
So she applies it to herself and spreads it out among everybody
Yeah.
else. That actually
And
could be
if
interesting.
And if you're in the bubble, then it's similar to like Doom Banner, where while you're in it, you'll be affected, and for a couple seconds after you leave it, you'll still have the residual effect until, per se,
Yeah, like a second
like
or two
15,
runs by.
20 seconds. Yeah. Like, it'd make it so then her tier 1 wouldn't be as powerful, but still just as strong. Like, it wouldn't be to the point where, like, she's absolutely devastating for an outnumbered fight.
I could
But at
see
the
that.
same time, it helps her, and it still keeps the same idea of
I could actually
being
see
able
that.
to apply corruption.
I could see that. That's actually a really nice change for Warmonger. But one last change
Alright.
before we
Great
close
change.
this out that I would like to see is, you know how Conqueror has the feat uninterruptible, which just gives him hyper armor on everything?
You mean, I thought that was called Juggernaut.
No, that's a tier 2. He literally has a tier 4. It's his first tier 4 called uninterruptible. Your actions can't be interrupted for a short duration. It's literally, it's just hyper armor. What I think would be better is you take uninterruptible and Juggernaut and flip them, because uninterruptible is just hyper armor. You don't get any extra damage reduction. You don't get any, like slowed movement. Like, it's just hyper armor. But for Juggernaut, you get hyper armor, damage reduction, slippery. You get all this stuff packed into a tier 2 that lasts about 10 seconds.
But no, like, that would be, like, feat changes in general, and not just, like, damage values and everything, like, all that boring stuff. I'm talking about, like, more unique feats to the character. Like how Centurion and Gladiator each have Haymaker, which is them exclusive, because they're the only ones that literally beat people with their hand, aside from her, but she slaps them. She didn't actually punch them.
Yeah, she's not doing it to cause damage. She's doing it more to create an opening.
Yeah.
And
But,
then you...
like, they have their unique feats, and then they each have their own respectable,
like, afterwards,
tier
unique feats.
3.
Sometimes
Yeah.
tier 2, because Centurion has the useless feat of Centurion's March. Or Centurion
Well, no,
has...
I was meaning there are two good ones. Gladiator's not so much, but
And then, like...
Centurion's Pugio and Gladiator's...
let me look. Bolidorus.
Yeah, like, those are unique to the character, but it also makes it that way then, like, they have something that's them exclusive.
And, like, Gladiator has their own special exclusive Roar of the Crowd, which is the opposite of Berserker. It greatly raises attack and sprint stats, whereas Berserker greatly raises defense and sprint stats.
But, likewise, they have, like, unique stuff to the character.
So you
feel
would...
like anybody who's, like, the original cast of characters that we have...
So, like, all of the
have
year
all,
1
like...
characters, or, like, the characters before the extra characters came out, like, the original 12 characters.
Yeah, they're all just sitting here with the same 3 perks that they've had, and not one of them has a unique one to their... Well...
They don't really have any...
Some
They don't really have
some of them
anything
have
that...
general ones.
They don't really have anything
Like how
that
you were
directly
talking about
sets them
with-
apart. They have something that sets them as part of the faction, but nothing that's really, like, I'm a raider and I come with this special feat that helps me do da-da-da.
Yeah.
I think the only few that can do that in the early factions are Warden with Takedown, Peacekeeper with Last Laugh, and Conqueror with Uninterruptible, because everybody else has something that's, like, faction-specific. Because, like, yeah, Nobushi has Firebomb, but that's just a fire flask that you place instead of throwing.
It's essentially like mixing Fire Flask and Nail Bomb together.
Yeah.
But if you take a look at, per se, like Zanhu, BP, all of the year 4, they all all got literally a complete.
They got a whole set of feats that they came in with. They all got something specifically exclusive to them, as opposed to, you know, an extra feat here or there. Like, Shinobi, as much as I hate the damn thing, was the first one to come in with Nukakubi and Yamauba. And for you struggling to actually remember what those do, it's the stamina and health regen on successful attacks.
I'll see. Likewise, I may bully people who play Shinobi, because, I mean, now they're just literally, it's like a gnat that won't go away.
And, like, when Aramusha came in, he only had one unique feat, and that was Flaming Arrows. Absolutely, like, that was it. That was the only really, you know, like, super special thing about him, is he, instead of having longbow, he had a longbow that had a flaming arrow attached to it.
Which, I mean, yeah, feats wouldn't necessarily be what I'd go with for the next move for For Honor, because there's quite a bit that I could go on about what they need to change in the overall gameplay itself. So it's a bit more balanced, like being able to be on a team and not have 150 and above reps on one side and then all low reps on the other.
Yeah, like, you gotta do something about that matchmaking.
Yeah, because that makes it so all the people who have way more experience are most likely going to be able to trample them. And even, like, they'll be able to do, like, what I've done and just literally put the game on autopilot, and just because they don't know the whole map control and being able to control what points and worrying about
how to, like,
points and stuff like that, they're just going to run around literally trying to kill anyone that they can find, not realizing that
it's an objective game.
They're literally being like a mouse in a maze. They're being led to exactly where the enemy team wants them, and then losing. And then getting mad at the game because of the fact that even though that they could be playing amazingly, but if they don't do the right things, then they'll lose the game.
And they don't know how to do the right things because they either haven't learned them yet, or they haven't been explained just yet. And like we took
some of them.
Like, we took Morko in and we drilled him for some of these things, and he picked it up really fast.
Yeah, I think that was actually their goal entirely, was so people could learn from other people, but it wasn't really...
The issue with that is For Honor's community is, like, it's so bad. Like, we're, as a part of it, we get pissy at some things, but we don't, you know, like, throw a temper tantrum at every little thing, or, like, we don't, like, we'll joke about a new guy not knowing what he's doing, or it's like, I'll joke at Morko, like, why did you throw that heavy, and why did it work? It's like, he just does things.
Sometimes you just gotta throw in that random thing, because, you know what? Screw it. Just literally, it's like,
do it.
Just do it.
Yeah, okay, Shia LaBeouf.
But no, literally, the community matches the new hero that came out. They're very corrupted.
The community is not welcoming to new people. And, like, we probably...
Yeah, once someone sees...
Like, if we stand out to, like, some... Like, if somebody stands out to us and they're a legit newbie, we're probably gonna be like, hey, I kind of noticed, like, you sucked that game. You mind if I help you not suck in the future? Like, here's a couple tips.
Or you'll end up with, like, weird but that doesn't happen. You end up with something like,
On the contrary, it does happen, just not very often.
It's not something that's as common as somebody just caps locking you to death in, like, the messages. Like, I got a message earlier, I didn't read it, I'm not gonna read it. I'll probably read it afterwards.
That's like back in the ye old days when
Nobody had a clue what they were doing.
Incredibles was still a menace to society.
That man was a
I-
fucking tyrant.
I ran into somebody, he was playing the same character I was. He realized that I was extremely predictable, and instead of being like how most of the community is, and very just, aha, let me just literally bully you because of the fact that you lost, or complain about something that you're doing.
But yeah,
He actually messaged me and saying the fact that, oh hey, basically I could teach you how to be able to do it, and he even gave me a good move set to learn, which is, I don't know if it necessarily still works today. I haven't looked back at that message because, like I said, ye old days.
Yeah, like
Likewise,
back when
he gave me a move set to work on. Plus, I asked him, and he literally gave me the okay that basically all I had to do was message him, and he would go through and actually show me, like what the optimal play would be to play Centurion.
like those are the kind of people we need more of in For Honor. Just as is, it's killing itself because, like I stated this in a Discord servers, For Honor needs to either fix itself, or we need to bring in more people, or the community is going to kill itself faster than devs trying to release patches or updates for a community that's never going to be happy. As long as there's two people playing For Honor, somebody's going to be pissed about something.
And
yeah.
you see, the one thing is what I would say
Especially
that would
for
be a
console.
negative thing
Yeah.
about the new
Speaking of that, I should check out my review, see how many
CCU.
people put it on as helpful.
is the fact that, yeah, they took, they listened to the community and was like, okay, here, some people are having light issues.
So they slowed down or sped up everybody's light attacks to 500 ms.
The good thing is they're listening to the community.
The bad thing
The
is
downside
it's not the right
is
community.
literally, no, it's a okay approach to go, but how they executed it was bad.
Yeah,
Because instead of like somehow trying to work around and maybe tinker around with the known issue that console has different issues than PC, because I can bet you more of the people that were complaining about light spam came from console because of the difference in frame rate compared to PC.
yeah.
And like, all they would have needed to do is figure out some way to do exactly what they did for PC, but for console.
So like releasing separate
And they
patches.
And they wouldn't have had to have literally punished everybody for a portion of the community complaining.
So like releasing separate patches for each set of platforms. So like console gets one patch and PC gets a separate patch.
It's basically like, if you were little and you did, like, if you had a brother or sister or something, and one of you gets in trouble, but both of you get punished. Or if you were in school, one classmate was bad, so the teacher decides to punish the whole classroom.
I've been in that
One
situation.
person.
I've been in that situation before.
So many
Which
times
that's-
for me.
That's basically what For Honor just did to the whole people who play it. Like,
Yeah.
PC is being punished for literally mistakes coming on our end.
Yeah, and they got no control over that. Like, yeah, they might have a say, like, on their side, but it gets mixed in with, like, you know, console, and suddenly you got both people screaming at the same Reddit. It's like, this is a problem, this is a problem. Then, you know, you got the other side, no, this is a problem, this is a problem. And the devs
Literally.
they don't know who to listen to, they don't know what criticism to take, they don't know what problems to fix, because they have two different audiences with two different sets of problems.
Which is the
Yeah.
deal when you have more than one platform to deal with.
You see, it's not like Monster Hunter where it's like, it tends to run fairly smoothly for both sides. Frames don't really matter that much because, both games tend to run at the same pace. Like, yeah, one looks a little smoother, but otherwise, if you go from PC to console, the only difference you're going to find is load times.
Like, that's the reason why I'd say the fact that the CCU wasn't 100% good. I mean, I don't mind that they're tinkering around with damage values, okay? There are some people, Raider, who can literally delete somebody's health bar in a matter of a couple moves.
I
But...
want to hear it from you, Raider.
No, that's all it's meaning. But, like, I don't mind that they're tinkering around with that, okay? But the fact that they quite literally listened to the community and then basically said, alright, here, since a part of our community is going to complain about this, we'll go ahead and punish the entire community by, like, making stuff cost way more, which, if you're trying to provoke a more aggressive base, then you gotta work on A, making the fights last longer, and B, just making it so that way things don't, like, it's not so, I wouldn't say not so punishing, but just make it so it takes more skill to be able to actually win a fight rather than, here, let me just pummel this man with bashes, that way one of my teammates gets free damage and then they're dead.
So
like, that doesn't take any skill, that just takes communication between two people, and you can quite literally delete somebody's health bar.
Yeah, unless you're Black Prior and just say fuck you.
Well, yeah. But then again, Black Prior also has a tier 4 that says fuck you to trying to kill me too.
Yeah.
But, like, make it so that way then it actually takes skill to fight more than one opponent at one time, and not just...
So would you say...
Hey, here.
So would you say that, like, for people, like, ganging up on this one guy to try and coordinate a quick kill, would you say, like, the more consistently they're attacking, like, would you say, like, they get, like, a debuff for, like, not mixing themselves up, or, just...
Well, no, because remember, if you punish on people being more aggressive, they're going to end up turtling up, which means you're going to get a lot of people to play, per se, like Conqueror, Warlord, people that have a shield that literally doesn't matter where you swing at them from. If it hits them, then they can retaliate. You're going to bring back the old turtle meta.
Which I really don't see it as a meta, I just saw it as something that needed to be worked around.
I'm glad they got rid of it because it made fights very boring. But at the same time, like...
It was kind of helpful because there was not a point where, somebody gets deleted in a matter of 2 or 3 hits because they weren't guarding properly.
And also, it made it so within, like, the fight lasted longer, just not in a positive way. But either way,
so would you recommend rewarding the defender and, like, say, like, if they're getting attacked a lot, give them, like, a small attack buff the more aggressive their opponents are being, so, like, they have a chance to hit back and, make them back off for a quick second?
I'd say not on defense as a whole. I'd say if you're able to, per se, get some good parries in, because if you say defense in a whole, then you're going to get the people who literally are just going to likewise play a shield character and block everything just so they get the buff.
Or just those parry gods. Yeah.
But make it so then if somebody is being able to, like what they have with Revenge, make it so then if somebody is consistently good at being able to stop themselves from dying, then they get some reward, but also make it so then the more aggressive you are, you can also do the same way. The more aggressive and the consecutive hits you can be able to land, that you get some sort of buff giving you a reason to just try and open up your opponent rather than just sitting over there and just aggressively staring at somebody. Kind of like how a Warmonger is aggressively staring at the non-moving minions on the home screen. She is just staring at them, pointing her sword at them, just like, bruh, I dare you, try.
But, alright, these are some good topics. This is running on for an hour and a half now. This may as well have been a stream, but that's a good portion for us to leave off on. If there are other things you would want us to discuss in our next little, For Honor talk, or there's some changes you want us to bring up. We're not podcasting.
Then we start doing
Fuck
a
that.
podcast.
Fuck
Roommates.
that.
Roommates from hell will exist one day.
Yeah, it will exist, but it's not. It will exist, but it's not gonna be a
Please leave a
fucking podcast.
Subscribe to IA Games here, because you know what? This motherfucker needs more subscriptions.
It will
By the
exist,
way,
but
it
it's
was
not gonna be a.
definitely a podcast.
It will not be a fucking podcast.
It will be a podcast, and you're gonna like it.
Alright, this is IA Gamer. These are my two asshole roommates. See you next time.
Subscribe,